Sergio, my husband, moved from Mexico City when he was around 18. Kind of the city center area in Mexico City is Zocalo. It's like if you have to work at something that you don't like, boy, it takes a lot of energy. But if you love it, you could work 16 hours a day and you have energy for it. What do they say? Like hard work meets opportunity equals success. So I think it's really possible for anybody. The second restaurant, we didn't have any investors, didn't have any money to open it, but we had this vision. We started creating the logo, we started creating the menu, and bam, we started talking to somebody and wanted to invest in us years later. Opening a restaurant, I would say let's say it's maybe a 5-year process from I have this idea, take steps every day and assume it's going to be a long process, and try to take steps, create your menu, start talking to people about it, because it's once you start putting it out there, then that's I think when people are going to be receptive. So we're right downtown on Tejon, kind of South Tejon. It's 418 South Tejon. And you could find us Zocalo, Colorado, Zocalo, Colorado.com. We'd love to see you. Stop on in. And
welcome back to the COS Business Podcast. Today we have a very special guest today. We have Lindsey de los Santos on here, owner of Zocalo. Local taco place here in downtown Colorado Springs. Tell us a little bit about you and your story.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. So Sergio and I, we moved from the Chicago area a couple years ago. Our son went to UCCS. He started like 8 years ago. So we've been coming out here for about 8 years, and, found out he wasn't coming home from college and he wanted to stay out here, and he got married. So we thought, you know what, we're going to, whether you like it or not, we're going to follow you out here. So, yeah. And so we have 2 restaurants in the Chicago area, and one of them we've had for about 15 years, and we actually came out here not wanting to open a restaurant, but our kids kind of pushed us into it.
They're like, you're so good at it.
They're like, you guys have to have a restaurant. And we're like, oh, yeah, maybe just something little, and then it's, bam, we found that space, and so that's
so great. Well,
yeah.
When we went in there, one of the first things we noticed is the capacity of that place, which is a pretty big. You said at first, you wanted a small taco place, but it's like a couple hundred people that could probably fit in there, right?
Yeah. I think the technical capacity is like 220 around there, wow. But we have seating for like 120. So yeah, we kind of went bigger. Went home. We're just like, we looked around and we're just got interested in that space, and yeah.
Was that timing planned? Like, were you guys waiting for like COVID to die down, or was that just when you guys opened it?
Yeah, it's kind of like when we opened it. I think COVID had died down. Mm-hmm. We moved out here. We kind of looked around for a spot maybe about a year ago, and then found that spot, and took about 5 months to build out. We opened in mid-December, and
nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know a lot of. It probably wouldn't have been a good idea to open it 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh!
Or 3 years
ago.
that
would have been. We would have been out of business.
Yeah.
Before we started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys are by Casa Mundi, right? The boutique apartments over there?
Yeah. We're on the first floor of the apartments. Yeah.
So, funny story, my buddy and I were there for the grand opening of Casa Mundi, which was like March of 2020.
Oh, okay.
And we're like, man, this is great. This is new, flavor coming to downtown Colorado Springs. This is going to be a big year for Colorado Springs. No, this is like March 14th, 2020. As everybody knows, that's not a good date. That was like literally 3 or 4 days later, the whole world was shut down.
Right.
And so like I know a little bit about kind of the background story of that area, and I was just like, this is great. Like there's a lot of new, things coming into downtown, but I can see why, you guys started when you did. It was just probably great timing, but like that area has like it was the primed area for growth, and I think it still is the southern downtown part of Colorado Springs. Anybody who's been here for a while knows that like that's the gentrified part of downtown, and there's just it's poised for a lot of growth and a lot of young people. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about is like we went in there, Andrew and I went in there, and it was cool because at first talk a little bit about like your queuing system, but like you would kind of file in, and then you had like a Volkswagen van that would be taking your orders, correct?
Yeah. So that was our original vision. We were at a place in Miami, and they serve tacos out of what are the silver campers called?
Airstreams.
Yeah, Airstream.
He knows everything about all that.
Yeah.
So they serve tacos out of an Airstream. We're like, oh, that'd be that's kind of a fun concept. And this space has like a big sliding door, so we could actually like drive a vehicle into it. And so we kind of thought about that, but then the Airstreams are rather large, and we thought, oh, maybe like a VW bus, that might be kind of cool.
Yeah.
We'll serve tacos out of it. And that's what we did when we first opened, probably the first couple weeks. But it's like logistically it didn't work because the lines were really long at first, and so it kind of was a long wait for people. And we thought, you know what, I think we should just switch to having servers because people are going to get better, quick, faster service. So you
gotta pivot, you gotta change, you try things, and if they don't work, you gotta switch.
Yeah.
you gotta know when to switch and not to hold on to something just because you like the idea. And so that's always easy.
For sure. Yeah, it wasn't easy. Just to pivot, we're like, we need servers. I think we hired like 20 servers in a day or two, had to train them all, and it was a big adjustment and training, but so I think we kind of figured it out, so.
Yeah. Pardon our interruption, but we wanted to talk to you about one of our really great sponsors, Planet Duct. Andrew, tell them a little bit more about them.
Planet Duct, they have an air duct. They are an air duct cleaning company here in Colorado Springs. They're a premier air duct cleaning company, meaning they have the highest quality of equipment that you need and up to all the standards, all the regulations, and past that. PlanetDuct.com is their website if you want to check them out if you have any air duct cleaning needs. So our next sponsor is a little festival, a little one, Marcus.
Like a tiny house?
Yes.
Yes. The next sponsor is the People's Tiny House Festival. It's a full-on display of simple living. You have tiny houses there. They got van conversions, school bus conversions, vendors from all across the Front Range, and we have food trucks, fun yard games, and it's a festival going on July 2nd, actually July 1st through 2nd, 2023 at the Ranch Events Complex in Loveland, Colorado. Check it out, peoplestinyhousefestival.com/tickets. Tell us a little bit more about our next sponsor, who's a really good Mexican food restaurant in Colorado Springs, and they have a couple locations as well, yeah?
Yeah, they've got a few locations in town, and they have an episode on this show if you want to check that out too. El Super Taco, you can get some really amazing, authentic Mexican food sourced locally and fresh cut every day, fresh cut meat every day. That's the El Super Taco.
Nice. Where can they find them?
Well, there's a location off of Hancock and Academy, and there's a location over by Cheyenne Mountain, and there's a location in Fountain, and they have a new one opening up near the north town.
Yeah, I think it's Woodman and Mark Shuffle. So check that out as well.
So our next sponsor is a pretty amazing marketing company called Recon Marketing. Tell us a little bit about that, Marcus.
Recon Marketing. I'm the co-owner with Brett Curley. That's a company that got started 3 years ago in the wake of COVID. Professional marketing agency. We do social media management, web design services, SEO, and photography as well, and videography. So full service marketing agency. If you want to know more, visit us at reconmarketingservice.com or hit me up after the episode. Our next sponsor is a really great sponsor. They focus more specifically on inventory and helping you out with theft of your tools. Tell us a little bit more about Power Tool Safe, Andrew.
Power Tool Safe, they help you manage, like you said, they help you manage your tools and make sure that you are prepared when disaster strikes, because it is likely to strike, because tool theft is a major issue, and it happens all the time, especially with contractors. But you can obviously use this for any business if you have a lot of tools. But that's Power Tool Safe. Check them out, powertoolsafe.com. And if you would like to be a sponsor of the show, reach out to cosbusinesspodcast@gmail.com, and we can figure out what that would look like. We can create customized sponsorships. We have a foundational sponsorship package where we shout you out just like we did on every episode.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great sponsorship. And we also like to have you on the show, too. If you're a sponsor, you kind of get to skip the line. Next day, new episodes, you have new updates with your company, maybe some events that you're doing or whatever. So look us up. We'll be happy to talk to you about sponsorship. We're excited to meet you. So I run Recon Marketing, but one of my favorite aspects of marketing is video. And there's no better company that I can think about as far as creating everything from like inception all the way through the process of a storyboard of a brand than Vehement Visuals. Tell us a little bit about your company, Vehement Visuals, Andrew.
Yeah, Vehement Visuals, video production company here in Colorado Springs. Although we will travel wherever we need to go for video production, we mostly focus on doing marketing, branding videos for businesses to help them grow. That could incorporate video is basically anything visual. So whether it's graphic design, video production, 3D animation, graphics all around, on top of videos, with the core focus on marketing videos, branding videos for companies. VEHEMENT for the audio listeners.
Well, we'll get back to the show right now.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is very big here in the Springs, and you can tell who's really good food right away because of like we have a couple places here that open up and sometimes are a little bit slower. It takes a little bit of time for people to realize it's even downtown. Mm-hmm. And for you guys, it seemed like right away, right out of the gate, you guys were like getting some pretty good crowds there. We went there like 2 or 3 weeks ago, us like after the podcast, and it was packed.
I couldn't even hear myself talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why do you think that you've been able to have such like early success with the taco place? Zocalo.
Yeah. Well, my husband Sergio and I, first of all, I think Sergio would be at the core of it. He came here from Mexico City like 32 years ago. He's the chef. He knows how to cook. And so, I think his ability, to cook and to, I think that's probably the biggest key for us. And I got my degree in art therapy, my master's in art therapy. So I love the design element. So I think that's what we contribute. I do the design and he does the menu and we do actually kind of collaborate on the menu and come up with different recipes. So, and we've been doing this for 15 years. So maybe, our experience, and we brought a couple cooks with us from the Chicago area. Maybe that's kind of like a mixture of,
they moved out
what
here
it is
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
They came out initially for they're like, we'll help you out for a couple months, and they're like, oh no, we love Colorado.
Yeah, that's what happens. It bites you.
Yeah, so like, oh yeah, this is a little nicer than Illinois.
Yeah, so. I thought so too. When I moved out here, I came here for a little bit, and I decided to stay as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard not to.
It's like amazing out here. So. Yeah.
You guys have a little bit of a younger demographic. When we went in there, we noticed that there's so that's a good thing, right? You want the younger Gen Z groups to come in there. Is that normal for your other restaurants to have a younger demographic? Like, not only be the servers, but also be like your actual customer base as well?
No. I think in the Chicago area, we have more of a mix, like an older crowd and family crowd. I think it's what I've read about Colorado. It's like the second biggest population of like 20 to 30-year-olds.
I believe it,
so,
especially the Springs for sure.
I think it's like the state. Like there's more younger people, more opportunities, and then downtown. I think that's kind of like especially with all the apartments. I think it draws a lot of 20, 30 something year olds. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's not just like us and our concept. I think it's the town.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
With your other restaurants, you said you've been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah.
So with COVID happening, how did you guys fight through that?
I don't know.
Yeah. you guys made it though.
Yeah, we made it, but yeah, it was brutal, and I don't know because we weren't here, but I think it was a little bit tougher in the Chicago area. And I think maybe like Denver was similar because it was So I think it was like a combined total of being like shut down to the public for 6 months. I think we had 2 segments where it was like, and so we had to cut back to our to-go orders, and that was like 5% of our sales for 6 months. So it was like really brutal. We hung on. We somehow made it. And
is everything back in working order?
Yeah,
Everything's flowing,
everything's back in order, flowing. So luckily we made it. I mean, it was brutal for a lot of businesses.
Restaurants, I think, got hit the hardest though.
Yeah. And then when you were open, it's like, oh, you have to have your 6 feet apart and, keep your mask on if you're not eating or
might as well just not even go out is what most people was thinking,
Yeah, you're right, because they're afraid they're going to get sick. And boy, what a crazy thing. Who knew at the beginning of that what it was going to turn into?
Right. Did you guys have I know we had it in Colorado, but it wasn't a normal, like they passed in the law during COVID, but you can get drinks to go. That was not normally something that we did here. I think you can still do it here.
Yeah, you still can now.
So it's stuck. But was that something in Chicago? Like, were you able to, like, I know that's probably a good profit margin for you as well. Were you able to do drinks to go?
Yeah. So the Chicago area, at least the area we were in, they did allow the drinks to go, and I think it's still going. So yeah, that did help, Yeah.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think that you guys have gotten, I think that's one of the craziest adversities you could go through as a business, right? Like
For
COVID
sure.
and getting shut down, and like, tell us a little bit more about those stories, because we want to unpack that. And it's like, did you have to lay people off? Like, how was that time? Let's look a little bit more into that. Was that, you only had the 2 restaurants, right?
Yeah. So we had the 2 restaurants. It was complete like shock, devastation, survival mode. We tried to keep on most of our employees, and yeah, it was just tough. I mean, quite honestly, the thing that gets us through, we're both believers in our faith, and that's when something gets tough, that's what we turn to be honest with you. So that, I think that's what our secret weapon is.
I'm sure you had a lot of fellow colleagues, shut their doors permanently, and I'm sure that was tough, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was super tough. We both gained a lot of weight and haven't lost it, so we ate our way through the stress. And yeah, it was super tough, but we got through it and were able to open up another place. So
in a different state.
Yeah. So it just goes to show, that you can rebound from just about anything.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And I think that, I mean, we're just really getting to know you, these past few months that we've kind of interacted, but it sounds like you guys have pretty strong family ties. I mean, I haven't heard of many families where the parents want to move where the kids are if they're not willing to come home, and then not only that, but open up shop where their kids are. So
yeah,
you guys are pretty close. Are they involved in the restaurant as well, or? Yeah.
So we have awesome kids. Our oldest, Christian, who went to UCCS, he's going to be 27 this year. And yeah, so Christian, from when he was 12 years old, he was doing dishes, in the restaurant, and he hated it. Both of my kids actually hate the restaurant industry.
That's what my mom was. She grew up in the restaurant industry too. She hated it.
Yeah, because it's like it just consumes you. It's like your life, and so Christian, he actually has a painting business, but it's a little bit slower this time of year. So we really needed his help. He helped us develop our bar menu, and so he and his wife have been working there, kind of helping us out. So they've been a big help. And then our youngest son, Dylan's 17, and refuses to work for us. He hates working for us. So he's working somewhere else.
It'd be funny if he was working at Taco Bell instead or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So so I would say we have a close family. close to our kids, and that's the most important thing to us, our family and our kids. So yeah.
Yeah, so tell us about the name. Where does Zocalo come from?
Oh, yeah. So like I said, Sergio, my husband, moved from Mexico City when he was around 18, and kind of the city center area in Mexico City is Zocalo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's, and it kind of means like gathering place, like community. So yeah, so that's where it came from. And actually kind of the bus tie-in too. Sergio came here wanting to buy a VW bus so that he could bring it back to Mexico and use it as a taxi. Like that was a big money-making thing back there. Yeah.
That's cool.
He's like, I'm going to go there, make some money, buy my VW bus, and it's going to be, it's going to be my taxi back home. And he never went back home. And finally, after 34 years, he has this VW bus that he can't drive.
Yeah, because it's chopped in half, right?
It's actually not.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, it's a full-size bus. We barely got it in like that window door, and it does run.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah.
Nice. In my mind, for some reason, I remember it being chopped in half. Like that's just my memory being false. But
yeah.
Is it halfway into the wall, or is it all the way out? I can't remember.
Yeah, so there's like a big hole in the wall, like where the kitchen is. So it just kind of sits up. It kind of makes the kitchen wall, like the edge of it.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool that's the that the Volkswagen actually has like an origin story.
yeah. So.
That's so cool. There's not many of them. I run a tiny house festival every year, and last year we were so lucky because I had a couple years where someone ran like a photo booth out of it.
Yeah.
She's local here, I think, to Southern Colorado. And then we had a guy. He's like, "Hey man, I'm just a vendor, but can I bring my is there a spot where I can place this Volkswagen bus?" And I was like, "Yeah," because that's like the tiny house world. Like we have a lot of van conversions there as well.
Oh,
and
sweet.
What's the original van conversion with the Volkswagen bus?
Yeah.
And so like every time I see it, it's reminisce like of me doing that whole journey with the tiny houses, because that's like one of the first things that you consider in tiny living was living in a van down by the river, right, with the van with the Volkswagen bus. So that's so cool.
Yeah
it's in really good shape, it seems like, as well.
Yeah, it actually, we got off of Craigslist and it was in horrible shape. I can show you guys pictures. It had holes in it. It was brown. It looked horrible, but my son's friend wraps vehicles, so he wrapped it for us, and and he painted it a little bit, and so that's how it looks nice, but it's really not a nice van underneath. But it is kind of cool because it has like the camper top, and you can cool. If you look inside, it still has like the bed, with the where you could climb up in it, and yeah, so nice. It's kind of cool.
Chefs can take a nap.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Let's talk a little bit about the menu, because I think the menu is great, and it's one of the things that sets you guys apart in this town. As far as there's a lot of Mexican places in this town, but you guys' menu is a little bit different. Talk about that.
Yeah. So back home, one of our restaurants, Sergio's Cantina, it's more like authentic family recipes, kind of classic Mexican food. We have a little bit of some fusion tacos on there, and then the second place we opened, it's more like totally fusion oriented, and we opened it like 4 years ago, I think, when it's kind of like people were looking for those fusion tacos, and then kind of more of like a cocktail bar. So Christian, our son that convinced us to open this restaurant, is like, we need real authentic tacos. There's so many fusion tacos, because we were initially just going to go kind of all fusion tacos. He's like, no, we need, Dad to bring the cabeza, the lengua, for those that don't know, it's the cheek, the tongue, and your carnitas from that Sergio's family recipe. It's like a special tenderizing salt he uses, and slow cooks the pork, and his pastor recipe from his family. So that, I'd say that's maybe the heart of the menu, kind of like Sergio's, like the tacos, just onion, cilantro, salsa, corn tortillas, carne asada, just
I'm hungry now.
you just have these are the real deal from Mexico, authentic tacos, and then we did add some creative fusion tacos, and I'd say with our appetizers too are a little more, we have like some poke nachos, brisket quesadillas, so we kind of more, creative Mexican, and then the desserts, we make flan by hand. That's Sergio's family recipe, and we make some sopapillas. So we make our desserts by hand, and all the cocktails too. Christian helped us with the cocktail menu. I actually, for other two restaurants, we developed our own cocktail menu, and we did for this place, and he's like, no, this is not going to work. I think it was like 2 days before we were going to open.
Oh, man.
I printed all the menus, everything. He's like, I'm going to be embarrassed to have my friends try these cocktails. I need to renovate your cocktail menu.
What was wrong with them?
I thought they were great.
Okay. Were they not Colorado Springs enough or what?
Yeah, I think because he's lived here, so he's like, I know what the people want, what they want to drink, Okay, that's fair,
Yeah.
He's, younger than we are, so he definitely, they're more upscale. I think ours were maybe a little more basic, but he had some different ingredients, stuff. So he can, take credit for the cocktail menu.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. I like the cocktail menu. So
yeah. So he did. Yeah.
I think good call on his part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the story of our recipes. So
Yeah, that's so cool. What margaritas did we get? I think we got like a jalapeno margarita. Didn't we get something like that?
I've got one spicy one and and a couple regular margaritas, I think.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed it. And
Nice.
We liked it, like the hipper, like young crowd that was there. So he was pretty spot on with that. I don't know if he's considered. He might be millennial, right? I think he's in that little cusp there.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's kind of on the edge there.
Yeah.
Being 27. So.
Well, it sounds like he's had a good amount of influence on this restaurant and saying like, "Hey, mom and dad, this won't work or this will work" and stuff like that. So
I mean, they're the reason he came out here.
Yeah.
They came out here.
He did. Yeah, you're fair. Yeah, he's like, it's probably the reason. Yeah, why we're out here, why we opened, and what needs to be on the menu, and yeah. So
it's cool that you guys are collaborative and work together on every aspect of it. Like y'all, like tell us a little bit about the Zen gardens you guys have.
Yeah. So I think, so the kind of the vibe that we were going for was, like Tulum, sort of beach vibe. And I think somebody had come in and they're like, only thing that's missing is the sand. And I'm like, oh, I need to get like some of those little Zen gardens. So we kind of have a little sand there, So that was kind of the idea behind that. People seem to like it.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
We made a little video on our we all three made a video together, and it's just having fun with I'm doing the Zen thing, and then my friend like messes up my Zen.
Oh no.
And that's it's just a little basic thing, but we just had fun with it, and we did like a bunch of takes. I started singing a song that ChatGPT wrote for me. On the spot right there in your store.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, we were having a good time.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a cool 1-2 punch too from you and your husband. It sounds like he's been able to cultivate like a really great menu, and then with your son with the cocktails or with the margaritas and everything, and then you have like the design. So I think that's a really good thing to talk about, is like the design of this place is like, you don't see a place in Colorado Springs with this much just different aspects to it, like the Zen garden and all. Like, talk to us a little bit about like how you went into this space and designed this. I think it's beautiful restaurant.
Thank you. Yeah, so I know like the design in the space is like not as important as the food, but it's like people want to get out. I mean, you could just sit and eat at home, but you want to get out because you want to escape. You want to feel like you're somewhere else. And you want to create like a, not concept, but kind of like a theme, or, what it is, otherwise it's like, I think it kind of blends into every place else.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of the theme of the last place we did was kind of the modern industrial. That was like, what was kind of inspiring. And for this, quite honestly, I just get a lot of ideas like on Pinterest, and then I started seeing a lot of the kind of boho Tulum sort of design, and I'm like, I think that, because it kind of, when you're creative and you're developing an idea, it just takes time to sort of come together. It's like, okay, we'll go with the VW bus, and then it's like, you kind of look up on Pinterest, and it's like, oh yeah, that's very boho, and what's a boho area in Mexico? It's Tulum, and so just kind of getting ideas, and that's how I sort of start thinking about the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not everyone's willing to go that extra mile, like bringing in a bus inside, or bringing in a it's not a bus, a van.
Yeah.
Like that's dedication, and I think that shows through. Like, even if people don't realize like what the feeling is, it does bring an energy to that place. I think that is subconscious and shows that you guys are really like care about what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Doing those extra things,
Yeah.
Instead of just like, it's not like I said, not everyone is willing to go and get a van for the inside of their or things like that. That's
bar swings too, right?
Yeah, bar swings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we do really care, and we love what we do, and it's like we wouldn't have the energy to do it if we didn't love it.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have true passion and love for what we do. And we feel like an obligation to bring something to people that's different, something that's fun. We like to do fun elements like that,
Mm-hmm.
And do something different, and try to help people escape the everyday. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Speaking of different,
Yeah.
your bathroom doors.
Yes.
Those are awesome. I haven't seen those in person before. I've
Yeah.
seen like in like Japan or China, there's one in the public and the walls are all made of that.
Oh yeah.
So like when you hit the button, you just disappear.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But yeah, so what? How did you guys land on those doors?
Yeah. So
And explain them too, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. So we put them in the last restaurant that we did, and it just kind of like a fun idea for some people, maybe not for others.
Yeah.
But so basically it's privacy glass. So when you flip the lock, the door fogs up. So when you don't flip the lock, it's clear. So we did them in the last one. This one. And we got the idea. There's a place in Florida, like an ice cream shop that had it, and we're like, oh, that's so fun. So there was a door maker in Colorado Springs that we had to kind of look around here, and then we found the privacy glass, somebody in Denver, and just kind of collaborated it, put the glass in there, but the downside here, our frames in the Chicago area are metal, and here they're wood. So people kind of broke the lock off already. So
I think I noticed that. Yeah.
So we have to repair them. So
dang.
they're currently fogged up, but we have to fix the lock on it because somebody pulled the lock out of the wood frame. So anyhow.
How did they do that?
I think they tried to open the door with the lock already in the bolt, and it ripped like everything off. So so we'll get it back and running. But
people will find the weaknesses of things real quick.
Yes.
After a couple margaritas too.
Yeah,
probably.
for sure. Like, why isn't this door opening? And but again, we're just trying to do something fun that's entertaining to people. So
yeah, it stood out. I mean, it's definitely stood out in my mind. It's those little things, like I was saying. It's very interesting how those because now we're talking about it right now, you know, like, and I'm sure other people have talked about it too. And when
Yeah.
Marcus went to the bathroom and he came out, he said, "Dude, you gotta check out the doors."
Yeah, that's the first thing I said.
I know. Yeah, people get like apprehensive. They're like,
Can people see me? Or-
yeah, like, wait, what's going on? You know, and we've had to explain it to some people, like, oh, just lock it and then it'll.
Mhm.
And when the power's off, it's fogged, because people like freak out, like, what if the power goes out? You know,
Mhm.
and the power's what makes it like clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was mechanical switch or something.
Yeah.
Or I thought it was just like something flipped up or down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually like there's this little metal prong, and when the lock goes and pushes it, it trips the power, so the power goes off.
Oh,
So
okay.
then when it's unlocked, the power's on, and it's clear when it's on. Yeah.
Nice.
I think a lot of that's big city. Like, you guys are from Chicago area too, and I'm sure there's concepts that have come out of there that, you know, it's very novel for a town like a secondary city in Colorado would have, you know.
Yeah.
Did you guys come here and just do like market research and like what was kind of, you know, hip here or anything like that? Like, talk to us a little bit about like any market research, because a lot of the things that you guys have are like new here, and that's why it's part of what makes the experience so exciting when
Yeah.
you walk into your restaurant.
Yeah, I would say like we probably make more decisions with our heart than like logic. So
I'm the
it
same
was yeah. So no market research, no like, oh, we got to go to Colorado Springs for. It was literally like, you know, oh, our son lives there, and you know, he talked us into it, and then after doing it, it's like, oh yeah, this is a great spot downtown. Like,
Yeah.
it that was an afterthought, and so I think anything logical for us is usually an afterthought. Like, oh yeah, this is a good spot. Oh, it's great that it's busy. Like, we don't lead with, oh, let's do what's gonna be profitable. Let's go to the right spot. Honestly, we kind of lead with our heart. And where the chips are fall, wherever they may, you know, and
You guys have, I mean, you stuck your landing evidently, so it sounds like it's going pretty well. Great prominent spot, great concept, great food, great
Yeah,
drinks, great
thank
vibe.
you.
Like, I think you're like checking all the boxes that you need to just by leaning with, you know, your heart into what you guys do.
yeah. I mean, I think people are different. It's not for everybody, but I guess that's sort of what we follow, you know. That's something that, you know, I heard growing up is, you know, when you follow your passion, any success that you have will follow, you know what I mean? Because when you follow your passion, people recognize it, and that's when you're going to get rewarded. I think if people are like solely like it, I don't know, like I said, everybody's different,
sure.
you know, but for myself, that's what works, you know, is kind of doing what you love, and you know, I think people recognize that. So
Yeah, I know the reason why I do it that way is because if I'm focusing on all those small little details, I'm never going to get started, or I'm going to be too stressed out.
Yeah.
Or it's going to lose its fun, and so that's why I just gotta go, because I will procrastinate all day. Not procrastinate, but like just fill myself up with busy work that's not really necessarily moving the needle forward or anything. And so that's why I just go. If I feel something in my heart or in my gut, I just go with it, you know, usually.
for sure.
Without doing a bunch of research, because I didn't do research when I first moved out here, and I just knew I wanted to start a video production company, and I knew that I was going to do what I needed to do to make it happen, and I made it happen. So
That's awesome. That's awesome, and that's what gives you that energy. You know, it's like if you have to work at something that you don't like, boy, it takes a lot of energy. But if you love it, you could work 16 hours a day and you have energy for it. You know, and I don't, that's sort of my philosophy, is like happiness is at the prime. That's more valuable than anything. So I try to tell my kids, I'm like, I don't care what job you're doing, as long as you're happy. I mean, yeah, you're not going to be happy all the time, but you
For
know,
sure,
you at
yes.
least, you know, try not to do something that's making you miserable or soul sucking, you know.
Yeah, and the things that you enjoy can become soul sucking at times. I'm sure in the restaurant business, you've had that, like, where it was kind of draining.
100%. It's not like, oh, you know, we're so passionate, and we love it, and we're energized all the time. No, it's yeah. I mean, it is miserable too, but it's
It's the passion that gets you through the misery.
You're right. You're right. It's that's what helps you keep going. So yeah, for sure. It's not always an easy journey, but I don't think does anybody have an easy journey?
Not entrepreneurship, I would assume not,
Yeah, I mean, there's always so
yeah. Any words of wisdom for someone out there, one of our viewers who would want to look at starting a new restaurant or anything like that? You have a whole lot of experience doing this on your third restaurant that you could bestow to them so they can maybe not hit some of the trips that you hit along the way to starting your restaurants.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it really starts with like a dream and desire. You have this idea, I want to open a restaurant. I'm a firm believer. I think anything's possible if you're willing to put in the work, the time. What do they say? Like hard work meets opportunity equals success. So I think it's really possible for anybody. And like the second restaurant, we didn't have any investors, didn't have any money to open it. But we had this vision. We started creating the logo. We started creating the menu, and bam, we started talking to somebody and wanted to invest in us years later. So opening a restaurant, I would say is, let's say it's maybe a 5-year process from I have this idea, take steps every day, and assume it's going to be a long process, and try to take steps, create your menu, start talking to people about it, because it's once you start putting it out there, then that's I think when people are going to be receptive, and it doesn't there's a really cool opportunity in Colorado Springs for startups. Quadi, they have that space. You don't need to design, you don't need to come up with equipment, you don't really need any money down. So I think, something like that, like, maybe contacting them to open a little space there. That's, and I think the whole food truck explosion is another small way to start up without, an investor. What is it, like every Tuesday, I think they have the food trucks downtown.
Yeah, in front of the Pioneer Museum area, like by the courthouse.
I know that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a couple spots actually downtown. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, but
yeah, in front of the courthouse.
Yeah.
So if that's really a desire for you, it can absolutely happen. And like I said, that those would be the way I would start small. If you have an investor already, awesome. Go into a space and like I said, with the design element, come up with a concept that's different, that's not out there. And so I think that's, I'm trying to think what else, but if you don't have the budget, I would go into a space that's already a restaurant space that's for lease. That's another way to do it. Yeah,
those are great little words of wisdom for sure.
Yeah.
So you moved to Colorado.
Yes.
To be closer to your kids. How has that experience been? Like outside the restaurant industry, like have you gotten a chance to go out and explore Colorado? Like what are you guys into? You guys into hiking, snowboarding, skiing, or anything like that?
Yeah, totally. So when we first moved out here, it was like we were on bikes every day. We were exploring everything, within a 2 or 3 hour radius. And I'd say probably like, our kids make fun of us, but we do have the e-mountain bikes.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And even people like on the street, like will be like, "You fakers," or like
No way.
People yell comments. Yeah.
Why?
Because
Like,
we're on
mind your own
e-bikes.
business.
Yeah, who cares? That's so crazy.
Anyhow, we like it. We have fun doing that. I'm a daredevil. I love to do like that pterodactyl ride.
You did that?
Heck yeah.
That's awesome. I don't even know what that is. Tell me more.
I think it's like out of Cave of the Winds.
Yep.
It's like this
Oh, okay.
sort of like, not roller coaster, but it's like a roller coaster cart. And then they sling you into like a 200-foot
Canyon, really.
Canyon.
Right? Like
And
Donkey
it's like
Kong Country or something, like the video game. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. But
It's a giant swing in the canyon.
Yeah, it's like
it's a
on a
swing,
bungee
okay.
cord. It's like and then you like launch into the canyon face first on this bungee cord. Anyhow.
Oh my gosh. And they videotape you, right? So did you
I think
you do the video?
I didn't do the video, and I like, what's that what do you call it?
Is it the Royal Gorge?
Zip line over the.
Is it the Royal Gorge?
The Seven Falls, or
I think it was the Royal Gorge. It's like the fastest zip line in the world, or
is it over like the biggest? I think the Royal Gorge used to be the highest suspension bridge in the world at one point. It used to be. I think it's still the highest in North America.
Yeah.
Is it down like by Pueblo or out by that way towards Canyon City?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like to do that kind of stuff with my kids, but since honestly I do the whole build out process with the restaurant, and then my husband kind of, once it's built, he's the one that works there, and I do the administrative. So when we first came out here, it was like adventures every day, but then it was like restaurant every day.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to be like that for a little bit.
Yeah, it will be like that. So I think we're a little bit burned out, but I think too, the weather, once it's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, once the weather's nicer, kind of get out there.
Yeah. It's 300 days of sunshine a year. This has been a weird winter because it's been a little bit colder, cloudier winter. But normally in the winter, you have several 60-degree days. And it's, like you get snow one day and then it's 60 degrees the next day. It's all melted. You don't even know there was snow there the day before. So that's a typical Colorado winter. But it's that's what's great is like the sunlight, getting out. Because where you're from, right? Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are right next to a great lake. We were talking about this before the podcast. But like, that's a real winter, right? Like it snows and then it stays there, right?
Yeah. I would say it's definitely a lot worse. I think the number one thing that makes it worse is like the lack of sun. Because you could go, I don't know how it is in Kansas, but you could go 30 days with no sun. And kind of how it was this morning, like the cloud cover.
Yeah,
it'll literally be like that for like 30 days.
And then it's just like the snow sticks around, for a while. And it's nasty. I don't like it.
Yeah. And it's...
No, I like Kansas City. I just don't want to live there.
For sure. Yeah.
Anymore.
I totally agree. Yeah, so it's like the lack of sun. And then if it's in the 30s, it'll stay in the 30s or below for months. And here it's nice. You get you get a break. Like you said, it'll be 50 or 60 sunny. So it's not like torture for like 3 months. Sorry, anybody that loves Chicago out there.
I know, yeah. It's all good though. It's all love. I just love this place better.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
One of the cooler things about this town, we've talked about this in the past couple episodes, it's kind of a transient town, but it's starting to kind of get some really good roots in it. And there's been a lot of people who have come here and established their roots to like build out the downtown, which has been so great. So like not only like do we welcome people who, are from the East Coast or from the Midwest, like Chicago, like we encourage it more than anything because that's like a big part of our downtown area. Probably the past 5-10 years has been rejuvenated by people who have come here.
Oh, okay.
And that's really cool. I mean,
some of the natives don't like it though.
I know. Yeah. I was gonna say I appreciate that attitude because I don't know if everybody has that attitude. And coming here from somewhere else, I do feel guilty because I'm like, oh, I don't want to be part of that.
As long as it's not California, you're good.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's very important for downtown, though, just especially downtown, because downtown here was very stagnant for a very long time. So, like, for people to actually push the needle forward and bring a little bit of flavor down here, it was great, because this town was consistent of, like, little pockets of places. Like, I lived in Northgate. I had no reason to ever come downtown. Any normal city, like, downtown is the area to be. It's centralized. You'd have all the sporting event. We didn't have any of that. Like, we had our stadiums out on the Powers corridor. We had everything we needed up where I was, like Top Golf and all those different things that have come and sprouted up there. It's good. It's really good to see what's been going on here. It's attributed to a lot of the people who have moved here. So I would say, I mean, I've been here for 20 years. That's a good portion of my life. I consider myself local and native at this point. If they want to say I'm a local or native, that's up to them. But like, I really love it. I think, and like that attributes to you guys and making a big risk and coming out here. It was a huge risk for you guys to come out here and do it, especially in the wake of COVID. Who knows, what could have happened. I'm just so like excited to see what's next for you guys. Just want to let you know that.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you so much. Appreciate your good attitude towards us outsiders. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's talk. When's happy hour? Like, what are some things we should tell our audience about Zocalo so they can come in and experience it?
Yeah, for sure. So happy hour, I think it's 3 to 5. And yeah, I think we have like our $3 classic tacos, and it's so bad. I don't know exactly.
It probably will change too. Yeah.
Yeah, what exact drink specials? But we have some food and drink specials on there. Yeah.
It's probably a house margarita. It's probably one of them.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think there's a reduced price house margarita. So, and something we recently opened on Sundays. We were closed at the beginning on Sundays, but we've kind of opened up 11 to 4 and
going the old Chick-fil-A route.
Is that what they do?
They close on Sundays.
Oh yeah.
But you opened up on Sundays now, you're saying, so
yeah, we're back open on Sundays, so
cool.
Yeah.
Well, we might know your happy hour menu a little bit better just because we go there, at least a couple times a month. So
sweet, awesome.
Yeah, I would be going there right now after this, but I have a shoot after this. So.
Oh, okay.
Because you convinced me with all that taco talk,
Yeah.
I was like, man, I really want some food.
For sure.
But yeah, they might go after. I don't know, but
okay. Yeah. Well, Sergio will be there.
Awesome. Well, where can we find you? What's the address?
Yeah, so we're right downtown on Tejon, kind of South Tejon. It's 418 South Tejon. And you could find us Zocalo, Colorado, Zocalo, Colorado.com. And we'd love to see you. Stop on in. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been a really good episode. We really appreciate this.
Awesome.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.